Shalom, dear friends, wonderful to be with you. And we're in the hill of Jerusalem. Everything is good here. We had Rosh Hashanah, which is the New Year. We're going into Yom Kippur, and after to Sukkot, which is a beautiful feast, which is for all the people, the Jews and the Gentiles together. This is wonderful. Do you know that here in Ben Gurion, at the end of August, which was the end of the summer here for the holidays, they had 108,000 people coming in one day through Ben Gurion. It's just amazing. And all through the summer, there was 5 million passengers passing through. It's just amazing. I was thinking about, if you look at we say in French, the Belle au Bois dormant, the Sleeping Beauty. Jerusalem, Israel was a sleeping beauty, and now God is raising her up, and it's just beautiful to see what's happening here. And today in the studio, we have Jonathan Feldstein. Jonathan, thank you for coming. It's wonderful to have you.
It's great to be here.
And I know that you are going to speak about something very special, and you are going to listen. It's for you and for us, and being together and learning here in the land of Israel. So, Jonathan, you've been already raising money for Israel, $1,000 of dollars, which is wonderful to see. And now you have something new in your heart. Maybe I say you came from America with your family, 5 kids, you came here, and suddenly you had another kid
That's
who was
right.
born here in Israel. This is wonderful
Yes.
to see that. I didn't know that. I just read a bit more, of your bio. And so now you are here. Tell us a bit what's happening between the Jews and the Christians, how you've been, first of all, in connecting with them, how, your path. And after we'll speak about the wonderful organization that you are starting.
So I grew up in New Jersey, and we didn't really have any meaningful interaction with Christians. So people who were our neighbors may or may not have been Christians, but we just considered if you're Jewish there, my thinking was that if you're not Jewish, so you must be Christian. Mm-hmm. And that was a very unsophisticated way of thinking. Then I moved to Atlanta, and I went to college in Atlanta, and after I graduated, I started working for the Israeli consulate there. And I loved that. It was probably one of the best jobs that I've had in my life, because I got to represent the state of Israel throughout the whole southeast of the United States. And when the professional diplomats were either too busy or too lazy, they would send me off to Alabama and South Georgia and Tennessee and places that I really had never been before either. And I will never forget the day. I don't know what day of the week it was, and I don't know what year for sure, but I know approximately. They sent me to Cleveland, Tennessee, with a guy named Bill Cherry, who drove from Atlanta up to Cleveland to attend my very first Bless Israel rally. And I was in my early 20s. I had no concept of Christian Zionism. That was never, 2 words that never ever would have gone together in my vocabulary.
So Bless Israel?
A Bless Israel rally in a church in Cleveland, Tennessee in the late 1980s. And I'm sitting there, and if you could put a USB port right here, you could still download the picture. It's so vividly burned into my brain, into my heart. And I was watching people wearing blue and white costumes, dancing Israeli folk dances, singing Hebrew songs, and I didn't get it, but I did get that's where God called me, and He said, Jonathan, you need to be a bridge between Jews and Christians. You need to do something special with this. And I understood that, but I didn't understand what it meant until some years later, and I've been blessed because I am privileged to interweave that in my professional life and in my personal life. It makes me a better human being and a better Jew.
Mm-hmm. And you came here, so did you start to work also with Christian in the land here?
Yeah, well, I didn't start. I started in America, but shortly after I was here, God has these funny ways of just putting things in your path, and I realized that what He was doing was helping me to do what He wants me to do. And if God calls you to do something, so you do it, if you're faithful. So I am, and I do. But the nice thing about it, or the amazing thing about it, is it really enriches me. And I don't know that everyone can say that. Sometimes God will have you do something that might not be in your comfort zone. But this has made me and my family, it's enriched us so much. In fact, the other night we were out with new friends here, Christian friends here in Jerusalem, and it was just now at this season, my wife was telling the story how probably 10 years ago, I said, hey, I'm going to bring a church group from Washington to come visit 2 days before Rosh Hashanah. And she said, you will not, because it was 2 days before the holiday, and she was preparing and cleaning and cooking and cleaning from the cooking. And I don't ignore my wife often, but I ignored her. And I brought this church group to my home, and she was kind of annoyed with me for not listening. But that year, she said that she went into this season, the 10 days of repentance between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, so much more strengthened because of the interaction that we had that week. The faith that you represent, and unfortunately most Jews don't really understand, was in my home that night, and it really strengthened us. It made us better.
This is wonderful to see, because we know we've been now here for 9 years, and we've been so enriched the same by being in connection,
Right.
Connected with Jewish and Orthodox Jews, not just Jewish people, but Orthodox Jews who love the Torah, who knows the Word, who explain it to us, who show us the depth and the beauty.
Right.
And so this is amazing to see that. You've been speaking also internationally. Okay, you go to America still, and you spoke with Kufi, which is a big organization. So now, speak about Run for Zion.
Sure.
Because this is an amazing
It's the most
concept.
exciting thing I've done in my life,
Okay,
Natalie.
so explain to us a bit.
So through these years of fellowship and interacting with Christians and appreciating how we share so many things as Jews and Christians, but we look at the world differently. We look at our faith differently. We have somewhat of a different relationship with God, and we look at just our lives differently and the language that we use. So I've been really privileged to have the ability to look at things in my life through a prism of how a Christian would look. And it was 3 years ago, next month in fact, that I was sitting in Texas, and God put on my heart, he said to me something about the Jerusalem Marathon. And I realized, wow, that is powerful, because Jerusalem is central and important to all of us. But if you're a Christian and you're a runner, now I'm neither. I'm not a runner and I'm not a Christian. But if I were, I would think that must be the most powerful spiritual place that you could run. Not the Boston Marathon, not New York, not Athens, not anywhere else in the world. So I came up with this model of Run for Zion. I mean, I credit the person who, our creator, who gave me the idea.
Give us creativity.
He created it. He put it in my heart. And I just started running with it. And I didn't know running, yes. And I built it up, and I've created this model that finally this year has been launched. And it's really the most exciting thing, because we're doing 3 things, each of which is important, each of which we could say that is enough, but it just builds upon. So the idea, first of all, is we have a goal to bring 500 Christians to participate in the Jerusalem Marathon this year. Now, I'm speaking about the Jerusalem Marathon, but typically I don't, because marathon is a frightening word. If you're not a marathon runner, someone who's watching this right now might say, I don't run 26 miles, so that doesn't relate to me. So that's why we're calling it Run for Zion, because we have an opportunity to do a full marathon, half marathon, or 10 kilometers. And a number of my friends walking too. A number of my friends from America are saying, I'm coming, and I'm just going to walk those 10 kilometers. And I probably,
in the steppe, in the land. This is the thing.
And it even gets better, because when you think about it, we'll come back to that. So everyone here, you just mentioned in terms of the record number of people going through the airport, tourism has been at a high. Everyone here is thrilled with the idea of me organizing to bring 500 people. And I think it's important that they're Christian. To them, it doesn't matter. We're filling hotels, we're creating tourism revenue, and that's a blessing. And everyone could say, good enough, Jonathan, you've done your job. But you mentioned before, I've been doing fundraising for 30 years. And so what I'm offering now is when people come to our website, they can register and participate and get their own page, which will allow them to invite their friends and family to sponsor them. Now that money is going to go to several different organizations in Israel that are doing different work, each one unique from the other, each one addressing a different population. Some it might be Holocaust survivors. Population, we're talking about planting trees and making the land green. We're talking about comfort for orphans and youth at risk. We're talking about putting food on the table of Israelis who don't have money.
Good.
And on and on and on. There are a variety of things that we're going to be doing.
And it's good to give these ideas to the Christians sometimes who wants to help, but they don't know
Correct.
exactly how to do it and who to connect.
Right.
And you know the people, so you will know the right people that you can connect with.
And,
so
and people that are
important.
honest. And I'm picking the organizations very, very carefully. And I've rejected some. I've turned some down because I said I think what you're doing is important. But if I were a Christian, I don't think it's in my top 10 list. And I don't want to project that as something that would be among the most important things that a Christian should feel good about giving money to. So we're going to be very selective in terms of what programs get the money, potentially blessing millions of Israelis, and potentially in our first year alone, raising more than $1 million that will go to these organizations. And that's exciting. Go ahead.
Do you do also for Aliyah, for example?
So that will be one of them. But I'm looking for the right partner because I don't want to. I think it's important to find programs that are meaningful, but I don't want to have a program filled by somebody who I'm not comfortable with their reliability. So Aliyah should be one of them, definitely. And
it's good. It's like bringing interaction between people and people together.
The best part, and I know this is overused, but it really grounds me. In Genesis 12:3, God does not say, "Bless Israel, I am the Lord your God." He says, "Bless Israel, and I will bless you." Right? So I have now, for the third part of Run for Zion, taken that model as a formula and saying, okay, you as an individual or you as a ministry, if you are partnering with us, if you're going to come alongside us and raise the money and come and run and invite your friends to partner with you, then I'm going to do something that's a blessing back to you. And so we've established 2 benchmarks that are very important. If somebody raises $3,200, I'm going to give them a free land package here in Israel. So now they can't say, oh, I can't afford it. Right? They're going to get to come and get to participate and be blessed. And if someone raises $5,000, they're going to get that same land package plus as much as $1,400 toward their airfare. So depending on where they're coming from, that may be a free trip. And that, honestly, Natalie, all of the stuff I said before is really good and really exciting. That excites me the most because I never know, and it would be an interesting conversation to have. When God says, I will bless those who bless you, what does he mean? Is he going to bless you with health? Is he going to bless you financially? Is he going to bless your children? Long life? What does it mean that he's going to bless you? I'm offering something really tangible that's a blessing.
I think I've learned that blessing is like to have more, isn't it? Like he's adding.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I read a story this week, and it's like there was a man who was telling the young people, when you plant your tree, you come and you bless it, but you speak nicely. I don't know if you heard about it. And that tree was much bigger than the others and had more fruits and more flowers, which would be more fruits. And it was like, okay, you can see. And it's like, when you speak well, again, I think is important. It's like if you speak well of Israel, this is already one thing. And so it brings something in you. I mean, I know personally in my life, I can see that I know also more who I am because Israel has brought me more identity, deep identity of who I am as made in the image of God.
That's very important.
And it's so important that we see all these things. Do you understand what I mean?
No, I do. And I think when you have the privilege of living here, so you're connecting with Israel every day. And when I travel, I love when I speak in a church or if I'm just fellowshipping with somebody one-on-one like this or in a small group, or for instance, if I do a Shabbat meal in my hotel room one night on a Friday night, I love that interaction because not everyone gets to come here. Not everyone gets to be here. And connecting to Israel, again, it's not for me to say, but I think it's true that if you're a Christian, connecting to Israel enriches your faith, adds dimension to your faith. And so I'm so excited about this unique opportunity. It's not going to be for everybody, but for people who are runners, I'm going to give them what could be the experience of their lifetime.
And the thing, when they go to run, they are not going just to run here and there. They are going to run in the old city too, isn't it?
They're going to run in the old city, and that's important, Natalie. But you know what I realized in talking to other people about it? It's not just the old city, because the old city is where the biblical narrative took place, some of it. But it's the new city that's the fulfillment of what God said would be. And how amazing to have the privilege of running through these old streets that are 50, 60, 100 years old, that aren't biblical, but that are part of God's promise.
And I think it touched the people, even the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Are you doing a bit of teaching too?
Meaning what? What kind of teaching?
For the people, for the Christian to have a bit of a perspective of the reality of Israel, or not?
So yes, and the thing that excites me the most is that we are going to have an intimate Friday night dinner for 500 people, but a traditional Shabbat dinner. And that I think will be the most exciting thing that I'm going to do of all of that. But truly, that will be a Jewish experience. The rest of it...
I mean, this is the great thing.
Right.
It's like not being like Christian in a Christian ghetto, but you have Christian coming with the Jewish people.
Right.
It's a window for them to see what's happening here.
But I want the rest of the experience to be a Christian experience. So for instance, the night before the race, whether someone's running 10 kilometers or the full marathon, it doesn't matter. We'll have a pasta dinner, which is traditional. You eat lots of carbohydrates in order to get energy. But I don't want to just feed people physically. I want them nourished, and I've already invited a few really special people to come from overseas to charge them and say, hey, you're a Christian. You're going to do something tomorrow that's more than just putting one foot in front of the other. You're going to experience something that's biblical, that's from God, and I want that to be a Christian experience, and I want the Sunday worship to be a Christian experience, and I want the touring to be Christian experiences. There's one other thing that I don't want to say yet, because we only had a first conversation about it, but it will change the paradigm of how people get to look at Jerusalem, both in terms of the old and the new. And if I am able to realize it, you'll be the first person I come and share it with.
Good. And funny enough, when you speak about that, I was thinking about Barkat, which is the mayor of Jerusalem. What have you done? Because I'm sure you need to have a lot of cooperation. So
we're getting great cooperation from the city and the Jerusalem Development Authority and the Ministry of Jerusalem Affairs, the Ministry of Tourism.
So is it Elkin?
Elkin, but right. But by the time the marathon takes place, Barkat will no longer be mayor, and Elkin may be mayor. So we don't know. But Nir Barkat, who's brilliant, he's an entrepreneur, he's a runner, and he's been mayor for 10 years. Loves
10
this
years
idea.
already?
10 years. He's served 2 terms, and so he's stepping down so he can run for national office. But he loves this because he appreciates the fact that we're adding more tourism. That's important. He appreciates that we're participating in his baby, the marathon. And he loves the fact that I have committed to raise the money, not from all the crowdfunding. I'm raising all the money on the side to do the marketing and all of the behind the scenes work that needs to create an organization. And he said, Jonathan, that's very entrepreneurial. And since that's where he made his money as an entrepreneur in high tech, he really admires it. He's given a lovely letter of recommendation.
Good.
And we'll be getting more of those as well.
Wonderful, wonderful. So we are getting a bit old, but there is the new generation. Right. So what do you think, what do they need for being, we spoke about the university, but I can see and I heard that the media hasn't done some good work with the young people. Maybe you know more about America. I haven't been traveling in America for a long time. Right. How is the young people over there?
People believe what they're exposed to, and unfortunately millennials, Jewish or Christian, have less of an interest in Israel now.
So we need to push.
Well, I don't know. I'm not a pushing kind of a person. I'm kind of giving you up an opportunity. Give somebody an opportunity. And I think that from that, the positive conclusions will be drawn. I'm not looking to change someone's mind. Again, I'm just looking to create the experiences. And I think I've got a few colleges and universities that are very interested in partnering, and they may send their track and field team, they may send other athletes who play sports. And I said to them, look, you must have, depending on which size university, hundreds of students who just go out and run for exercise in between classes and studies, and they would love that opportunity. So they understand that, and I do think that there's an opportunity, an important mission with younger people.
And maybe it's a model, like, because you touch more maybe the American, because you were born in America and speak English and all of that, but maybe it would be also an opportunity for other countries after. I'm thinking about India, I think about France too, is like, bringing something different for the people, not just going to the Holy Land, but doing something more interactive.
It's tangible, it's interactive. You've already projected where I want to be in 2 or 3 years, where right now all of the marketing is in English because that's the easiest. And I guess it's probably the most sensible. But I'm envisioning by year 2 or 3 that we'll be marketing in Spanish and Portuguese and Korean, French. And what I would love to do is get people now in the first year who are native speakers of other languages to come, but who also speak English, and then film them so we can use them to promote in the subsequent years in their other languages. So for instance,
I think the media can do a lot of work.
Correct. So we want to, the tourism minister is bilingual, fluent in Spanish apparently, so I want to get him to do an endorsement in Spanish. Sharon Haskell, the member of Knesset, so she's apparently fluent in French.
You're right.
So I want to get her to do something for us in French, and eventually we'll build up so that we can cover, I don't know how many languages is necessary or practical, but I do believe, first of all, I know that just by virtue of publicizing it in English, we've already got interest in China and different African countries and Scandinavia, and even this is crazy, Natalie, 2 pastors from Pakistan have contacted me and said they want to come. And that would be...
This is great.
Right?
This is great. This is great. And you see, the thing is, like, Israel went, the Jewish people went all around in the world, but now you are coming back, but you are touching the nations. And because you've been in different countries, like you say, even in the parliament now, in the Knesset, there is many people who speak different languages. I see there is Bible studies going with the Yehuda Glick, and there is things that happening even in the government. And I think this is amazing how Israel, is the heart of the world, really.
Yes.
So it's amazing to see what's happening.
And it's nice to see members of Knesset, when I filmed them and interviewed them, and we were doing short promotional videos from Knesset members, each with their own different orientation and background, really understanding and embracing that there's not just an opportunity for Israel, but an obligation of Israel to embrace Christians and make this a place that Christians should be excited and happy to come to and connect with.
We heard about Or Legoim.
Yes.
Or Legoim, which is like giving the light to the
light unto the nations.
That's it. And it could be another side of this light going onto the...
Well, that's part of it. And then going back to Genesis 12:3, how does God conclude that? He says that through you the families of the world will be blessed. So we have a big responsibility. And that's actually for another conversation about where I'm going to take Run for Zion and other projects that we're going to do.
It's wonderful. Thank you, Jonathan. It's like amazing. The time ran out already. We wish you all the best for this new opportunity for the Jewish people to shake the nations and bring them here to run, to walk, and see Israel also. Because when you are in the land, it's like it does something, and you bring a bit back of the land, where you live. So this is wonderful. Friends, I hope that you enjoy that. You go onto the website, Run for Zion, and you can see more. You can be involved wherever you are in the world. I'm sure that Jonathan will love to have your email and see, what the opportunities that you can have with him, with Run for Zion. And from Jonathan and from me, bye. See you next week. Shalom, dear friends. We carry on looking at redemption today. The name in Hebrew is Geula, and we are going to look in Deuteronomy 36, the verses. And the Lord your God will open up your heart and the heart of your offspring to love Hashem your God with all your heart and soul in order that you may live. Now this was Moses speaking to the people, saying, you are going to be dispersed, but God will comfort you again and will bring you back and restore you. And this is what he said just right now. So we look in Hebrew, Vemal Hashem Elohecha, et levavcha ve'et levav zarecha. Le'ahava et Hashem Elohecha, bekol levavcha u'nafshecha lema'an chayecha. So it means with all your heart, with all your soul, and this will give you life. See, when after the Holocaust, when they came here, a lot of kibbutzim was started, but there was almost no synagogue because it wasn't the right time. They were starting the land. Their heart was still broken with all the things that happened when they were dispersed. But now now they are established, something is happening. When you go in Judea and Samaria, now that they open some new implantation, when they have new communities, one of the first things that they do, they start a synagogue. Synagogue in Hebrew is Bet Knesset. So you see, there is a progression in this redemption that's happening here in the land. So we look at some name today. Bet Knesset is like a synagogue. Then we look at the name Le'ahava, to love. We look at the name also Lev. Lev is heart, and Nefesh is your soul. So we've learned some beautiful things again together, and we will see you next week. Bye. Jonathan, thank you for coming. This is wonderful to hear about runforzion.org. You can go on the website, know more about it, and you can come to Israel and have an exciting time in the land here and discover the land. Running or walking, this will be your choice. From Jonathan and from me, see you next time. Bye.